Hello.
So today we're going to talk about events that led to the American Revolution. So there's some major things that happen that make the colonists so mad that they want to revolt against the British and sort of kick them off of America.
So we're going to have you guys remember what ticks off the colonists so much that they have to revolt from Britain. Should we say these?
Can we pause right now?
No.
Oh. So we think we're funny and made dialogue bubbles. Benjamin Franklin, who was one of our founding fathers, maybe you know him, would have said, "I really hate those Brits."
And then a random guy one might say, "I am currently thinking of how we shall revolt against them."
And a random guy, too, is saying, I don't think anyone knows I'm picking my nose. They were too worried about Great Britain.
Okay, so before Britain gets all up in the colonist business, things are going pretty well, right?
Yeah. Life is good. They're hanging out in their colonies. Things are nice.
So then the colonists start to think, hey, we just moved all the way over here from Great Britain. We're doing pretty well for ourselves. And they start to question, why the heck is Britain still ruling us? We're doing fine.
Right. And so they start to just kind of become a little suspicious about the king and what his real purpose is. They want to start to think on their own and challenge the king and say that we don't need to listen to you anymore.
And this is called Enlightenment Thinking. So they're becoming enlightened about their own success in their colonies.
Right. It's like a little light has gone on in their head and they realize they don't need the king anymore. Why Britain? Why do we listen to them?
So after the colonists kind of express their thoughts to Britain, Britain kind of steps back a minute and the king goes, you know what? You're right, colonists. You're doing a phenomenal job. So we're going to enact something called salutatory neglect. So it's kind of like they're going to salute the colonists, say, you're right, you're doing great, and we're going to neglect you a little bit. We're going to let you do your own thing, turn our back a little bit, and let you do what you think is best.
Now the colonists love this because they feel like they're by themselves. They don't have to answer to the king anymore, and they can do whatever they want. So life is great in the 1700s for the colonists.
So the colonists say, bye, Britain.
And then the British just watch from afar with their goggles.
So the colonists love being on their own. Life is great. They're doing their own thing. They're doing really well in the colonies. But there still are times when they need help.
Yes. For instance, we have our third event is called the French and Indian War. And as you can imagine, the French and Indians are involved. Basically what happens is the French come over and say, oh, Native Americans, if you help us attack the colonists, we'll give you all of the land back that the colonists stole. So the Indians or the Native Americans think that it's awesome and help the French to fight us.
So the colonists freak out a little bit because you've got this huge country of France and these natives that we were killing and, using as slaves, so they're ticked off at us. So the colonists freak out and they realize that they can't do it on their own. So they're going to call the British Army to come help them.
So the British Army comes on over, and they're the most powerful army in the world. So they easily beat the French. They easily kick the crap out of the Native Americans. And the colonists are really excited because now things are back to normal. We don't have the French bothering us anymore. Here's a little reenact. Oops, never mind.
So you got to think, when you have a war, what do you need a lot of? Do you know?
Money.
Oh, yes, you do. So the British needed $125 million to beat the French and the natives. So that's a ton of cash.
Now think about this. The British are naturally going to want the colonists to pay for it. The British came to help the colonists, so really the colonists should be paying the war bill, but they don't want to, and the British get ticked.
Now, let's wait a second. Let's make sure that these guys are actually listening to us, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
If you're actually listening to this, go ahead and do some dollar signs, some dollar bills all around your note sheets if you're listening to us right now.
And randomly stand up and stretch and then sit back down.
Love it.
Okay, good. Let's keep going.
Show me the money. Show me the money!
Yeah, the British want us to show them the money and pay for this war.
So the French and Indian War was essentially a cause of the revolution because it kind of started the tension.
Now, Great Britain really wants their money, but the colonists refuse to pay, okay? The colonists aren't very wealthy, and so they don't want to put up more money. So Great Britain decides, all right, you don't want to pay? Here's what we're going to do. Okay? And this is event number 4.
So we have the Stamp Act. So this act was started by Great Britain, and they start to tell the colonists that everything they purchase or everything that they buy, they have to buy a stamp for. And this is essentially a tax.
Right. Now, it sucks because you're not paying for anything. Like, you're paying for a stupid stamp you have to put on everything. So colonists get really mad, and they hate tax collectors. And here's what the stamps would have looked like back then.
So this starts to get them all riled up.
Yeah. Oh, stamp yourself, fools.
Yeah. Okay, so this completely divides the colonies. And this is important to remember. So maybe if you're listening, put a little star by this part of your notes, because 1/3 of all of the colonists are patriot. And what that means is they hate Great Britain. They hate anything to do with Great Britain. And they are for a revolution or for a fight against Great Britain.
And then the other third of colonists are called loyalists. And you'll see the word loyal in it. They're loyal to Great Britain and the king. They still love Great Britain and they don't want to leave them. So these two groups are going to really start to fight in the colonies. But you'll notice that middle section is empty. And these are people who are just undecided. They don't know if they hate Great Britain or if they like the Patriots. And so both sides are going to try to get that middle group to join them.
Okay, so they have some leaders on each of the sides. So for the Patriots, we have this guy. Is he looking at us kind of weird?
Yeah, he's piercing my soul with his eyes right now.
So we have Sam Adams. He's the leader of the Patriots, and he is a complete psycho. He is so for this revolution that he's going to do everything he can to try to make everyone turn against Britain.
And then on the other side, for the loyalists, we have this guy, King George. Obviously, he's the King of England. He's a loyalist, and he's a super wuss. Very wimpy. He wears fur and tights and prances around, and no one takes him seriously. I like to say that he has kind of an interesting accent, which I'll do for you in a moment.
So here's what Sam Adams would say. I'm a patriot, which means I hate the British.
And King George would respond with, "Kiss my booty, patriots. I own you and I always will. P.S. Don't I look good in this fur? Snap."
Oh yeah? And I'm crazy. I will stop at nothing to make the British look bad.
Good luck making this look bad. Snap.
Alright, so Sam Adams, the Patriot leader, gets a bunch of other psychos together, and they form a new group. And they're called the Sons of Liberty. And these are the group of patriots that will do anything to revolt against Britain.
Now, these patriots also hate the loyalists, right? That other group of colonists. So the patriots seek out anyone who's a loyalist and who likes Great Britain, and they torture them and harass them. And one of their favorite things to do is to tar and feather someone. Basically, what that means is they would find a loyalist in the area. They would pour hot tar all over them and then dump feathers on them. Now, if you think about hot tar, it's over, I don't know what, 700 degrees. So you're scalding the person, and that tar is really sticky. So if you've ever had like candle wax stuck to you, you know that it kills when something that hot is stuck to you. So they burn these people very, very badly and then just make them look like idiots with putting feathers all over them. And then they would parade them around town to show everyone, like, look, if you like Great Britain, here's what we're going to do to you. So we thought we would reenact this for you really quick. I'm a patriot, okay? I believe that we should be going against Great Britain. They're evil and they're terrible, and this girl over here is a loyalist.
So I'm walking around town talking about how wonderful Britain is and how much we should follow whatever they say. So I'm walking around.
And so I see her, and I'm like, I know you like Great Britain. We hate you. Tar! Feather! And now San has been scalded to death and paraded around town and probably has died from her injuries. Okay, very slow, painful death. Bye-bye, San. So that was a way to just scare people into being a and scare people into being a patriot. That's how crazy they are.
So Sammy, or Sam Adams, leader of the Patriots, gets everyone riled up and gives them this slogan. So after they go in tar and feather, they walk around town and they start saying, no taxation without representation. So they don't want to take Britain's taxes without being represented or having a say in it.
And maybe you've heard that before. It's kind of a famous thing from the American Revolution. Colonists just don't want to be taxed.
So the fifth cause of the revolution is this Boston Massacre, and we're sure that you've heard this before. But do we want to act it out first?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So the story goes, well, maybe we'll tell the story and then act it out. The story goes, it's Boston in 1770. It's a cold winter night, and I am a British soldier. See, it's very cold. I'm a British soldier standing with my gun. This is my gun. And I'm standing outside of a tax office. So every colonist in Boston knows that this is where I collect the money, and they hate me. So I'm just doing my duty one night, walking along. I'm kind of scared, and I see some colonists approach me.
So I am an angry colonist. I'm a patriot. I hate Great Britain, so I'm going to hate this guy with all of my guts. So I see him, and he kind of looks like a little weakling. He's shaking a little bit, so I kind of get my colonist groupies together, and I'm going to try to do everything I can to show him how much I hate him. So what I start doing is I see him, and I'm going to start throwing ice balls at his face over and over again.
I want ice hurt so badly.
I hate you, Britain. You're awful.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Lots of yelling. More Brits come to help, so he has more British soldiers.
Friends, come help me now. Please help me.
So the colonists are continuing to throw ice balls at this British soldier, and what happens?
The British soldier slips on the ice, falls to the ground, and my gun went off as I fell.
What? So his gun goes off, and I, the patriot, get shot in the face, and I die. Ugh.
Because all of my British friends just opened fire on them, okay? So after this, right, this incident, we basically have the start of a little war, because one gun going off now has just made everyone really upset.
So 5 colonists are dead after this, which we want you to kind of think, what does massacre mean?
Yeah, and let me take off this British hat.
Massacre is kind of like tons of people dying, like it's bloody mess, okay? And 5 colonists die, which is awful, but they kind of over-exaggerated.
Yeah. And you want to think, why would the colonists over-exaggerate this and say it's a massacre? Well, it's to make the British look even worse than they are. And it worked. It got a lot of colonists really upset because they're like, oh my gosh, these random British soldiers just opened fire and killed tons of people. How terrible. So things are getting more and more heated between the two sides.
So on your notes right now, what we want you to do on the side, write down who you think was at fault for the Boston Massacre. Was it the British soldiers that started opening fire? Or was it the colonists who were throwing ice balls at them?
Remember, ice balls hurt.
Right. So we're going to stop it here real quick, and then we'll restart in a minute.